After putting out yet another video fairly recently on Evil Genius 2, discussing the Team Fortress 2 themed Pyro DLC, which launched for free to all players interested in downloading it, I figured it would probably be only a matter of time before Valve would go on to license out one of their other characters or IPs to the Evil Genius 2 development team. Personally, I thought that it would probably be another TF2 related character, most likely Heavy, since we already have a KGB-esque Russian character as one of the primary player-controlled evil masterminds. Or maybe it would be something Half-Life related, but in hindsight, I suppose it only makes sense that Valve would ultimately choose to hand over access to arguably their favorite IP, being Portal. While I'm well aware that most die-hard Valve fans point to Half-Life as being their favorite Valve franchise, Valve itself historically seems to have always had a bit of a soft spot for the goings-on over at Aperture Science, given how enthusiastic they have always been to see the IP integrated into many other third-party games, compared with the more limited number of times they've licensed out their other first-party IPs. The structure of this DLC remains fairly the same in nature compared to the TF2 DLC. You gain access to an all-new side story which includes a decent range of new objectives as well as new stylized, animated, and voice-acted cutscenes presented in the usual comic book stylized Evil Genius 2 format. In a game all about having your own cartoony James Bond villainous mastermind on their own private island where you plot world domination, it seems only fitting to have an entire laboratory designed around creating deadly scientific equipment which you can use to, shall we say, dispose of unnecessary prisoners and other unworthy personnel. In terms of faithfully carrying over the Portal 1 and 2 visual aesthetic, the look and feel, the Evil Genius 2 team have done a wonderful job in this respect. They found a way of faithfully integrating the Portal 2 art style and theme into that of Evil Genius 2, which is a tricky thing to do, so again, well done there. As far as the actual amount of content you get, it's all pretty decent. You've got the portals themselves, you've got the sentry guns, and best of all, you've got cake, and really, how do you go wrong with that? 100% Aperture Science approved nutritious, human-compatible cake. But I'm not going to go so far as to say that there's anything mind-blowing as far as the content itself goes. For one, I was really disappointed that the two most obvious iconic Portal items in the game, the portal gun itself and GLaDOS herself, did not ultimately make the cut. In the case of GLaDOS, I don't know whether it was because Ellen McLean wasn't available to voice her iconic character, although I doubt that because she seems to be getting more than enough work elsewhere these days. Or maybe it's because Valve themselves told the Evil Genius team that those things had to remain off limits. The same goes for the moon rock-obsessed industry man himself, Cave Johnson. It likewise would have been great to see J.K. Simmons back in the role, but at least in his case, I suspect he probably was just honestly too busy to take on another role, especially a minor role like this. But it's still a pity because he's probably one of my favorite character actors in both TV and film. Whatever the actual reason is, the lack of the portal gun as well as the lack of iconic Portal characters like GLaDOS, as well as the lack of any major gameplay affecting additions, definitely is in large part what defines this as a small DLC pack, not an expansion. And if that's what the dev team had in mind, I'm not going to shame them for it. I'm just openly saying that if you're looking at this as this all-new Portal-themed expansion of immense proportions, you're going to have to lower your expectations by a notch or two. During my time playing, I did notice a fair number of unusual bugs in regards to how the Aperture Science laboratory room would function in your base. One of the most consistent recurring bugs that comes to mind is where, after sacrificing one of your human testers, because, let's face it, that's what they're there for, the AI minion supervising that testing would remain in the room idling in the same position he was while administering the test. Even though the aforementioned tester is no longer testing anything, except for maybe how fast the human body decomposes after being exposed to different experimental gels. And yes, I'm being flippant here. The minion just idles there, which is really annoying, as the only way to address this bug is by marking him as the target to be disposed of either by your henchmen or alternatively by the conveniently placed turret guns in that room. The bug doesn't play out every single time, but it does seem to have a roughly 50-50 odds of occurring. It'll be interesting to see what IP Evil Genius 2 attempts to integrate next. I quite like it when we see these crossovers. It paints an interesting picture of what we might expect to see in the future. Initially, I assumed the game would fulfill its basic promise of maybe a handful of paid DLCs, maybe 4 or 5 at most, and then the developers would disappear for another decade or so until they release a third game. But based off these indicators, it would seem the dev team isn't interested in going anywhere anytime soon. And I'm more than happy to have my expectations be surpassed. In an age where the newest trend in most entertainment genres seems to be subverting expectations by shoveling out low-quality trash, intent on telling their consumers to go screw themselves, only to then whine loudly about how no customers are supporting them. It's refreshing to see smaller companies like these coexist well not only with larger companies like Valve, but also with their own fanbase, addressing community concerns via transparent blog posts and game updates. They didn't subvert my expectations, they far surpassed them. If you're looking to pick up Evil Genius 2 for yourself, it's currently available on Steam and is planned for release on most consoles at some point in the not-so-distant future, according to the game's official website. And on that note, that's where I think I'm going to wrap it up for today. I know I haven't been putting out as many review videos lately as usual, which is due to my very demanding university schedule, but you can definitely expect me to pick up the pace now that we're into the hauntingly entrancing month of October. As ever, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to click the like button and comment below what you think of the game. Comments really help my videos get boosted in the algorithm, plus I enjoy reading and responding to nearly all the comments I get, so even if you just want to drop a comment just to say hi or get my opinion on something unrelated, I'll be more than happy to chat with you down below. Likewise, subscribing and clicking the bell really helps. I know it's cliche, but the YouTube algorithm is a pain in the ass to deal with, doubly so if you're a small channel like me. This is WarriorDan signing out. Stay awesome, everybody, stay safe, and peace out.